Hey gang, Professor Feeser here. I provide education solutions to large groups and organizations. If you're looking for a learning pathway for your team or enterprise, feel free to reach out. My contact info is at the end of the video. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about Ansible Builder. And my goodness, this could go on for hours. It could go on, honestly, for days. There's so much to talk about. But I'm going to try to keep it short. I'm going to try to limit this video to how do we use Ansible Builder? How do we think about Ansible Builder? How do we frame it in a discussion? Ansible Builder is simply really a replacement for Docker file. So rather than build out the description of here's how I want to source a container, we abstract that process. What Ansible Builder, which is installed, you install it just like any other Python app. Python module pip install Ansible-builder. Ansible Builder itself wants a couple of files from you. It wants execution-environment.yml. It wants requirements.txt, and it wants requirements.yml. Now, the reason for running Ansible Builder is to make an execution environment, a container. That's what an EE actually is. That's why I said this tool is a replacement for Docker file. You're not going to run a Docker command. You're going to run an Ansible Builder command, which will call Docker. I mean, Docker is a prerequisite in order for this to work. Execution-environment.yml is the ingestible for Ansible Builder. So let's cat execution-environment.yml. You can see here how we want to put our execution environment together. Version 3 is the API of Ansible Builder that we're using. The base image is the starting container. This is what we want to imbue with execution environment powers effectively. This is what we want to start with and modify. How we want to modify it, we want Ansible Core. You can pass a version here. And Ansible Core, if you're like, how's that different than Ansible? Ansible Core is just Ansible in the standard library. No additional collections are going in there. So a very thin version of Ansible. Ansible-runner is a must. You got to have Ansible-runner inside your execution environment. Knowing that you have to have Ansible-runner in there is another reason why we like this Ansible Builder tool. If I had to put all this into a Docker file, I have to describe, here's the image I want. Oh, by the way, I got to have Ansible. Oh, by the way, I have to have Ansible-runner. It's just understood. Hey, you have to put these things into the EE for it to work. System, OpenSSH, clients, SSH pass, and Git. That's like apt install, yum install, package manager software that I want to appear inside of here. Might already be there, but, I definitely want it. And then it's also saying Galaxy means these are Ansible installs I want to do. Python, these are pip installs I want to do. So requirements.yml, requirements.txt, and those are standard names. So if I cat requirements.txt, that should be Python. Okay, Bodo Core 3. That would be required for an AWS conversation. And then if I cat out requirements.yml, when I say conversation, I mean if you're going to use the Amazon.aws modules, you got to have Bodo Core in there. Additionally, it looks like we want a collection called Amazon AWS, and we want a collection called RZFeeser. Wonder who that guy is. RZFeeser.cloud-compute. So this is a collection I put together. It contains a role which deploys some infrastructure into AWS, right? So if you want to see the playbook, which is not a requirement to use EE, But inside of here, I have playbook role. This role, RZFeeser Cloud Compute Build EC2 on AWS, lives in this collection. So if I want to be able to run this playbook, I have to have an environment, like a snow globe, that has the prerequisites in it. Okay, that's what the EE is. It's the snow globe that has the prerequisites to make sure my playbook is ultimately going to run. So let's see actually how easy it is to put this together. I'm going to run a command here called ansible-builder build tag code with Feeser execution environment container runtime Docker, and that's it. It's going to say, okay, complete. Let's go ahead and run verbosity 3. Wow, that was fast. That was faster than I really expected it to work. But if I do a Docker image list, right there at the top, it says, yeah, code with Feeser EE. You have that. You have that. Now, it says 27 hours ago because the starting image I downloaded about 27 hours ago. But as far as the alterations it had to make, not much. Not much, which is why it succeeded so quickly. It had stuff cached it didn't need to. The idea from here, gang, is I could now, rather than run my playbook in root, which is what we're going to call this environment that I'm in, I could run it inside the execution environment. I could actually inject my playbook with its prerequisites, AWS, Bodo, my custom role. I can run that playbook inside of the execution environment, and I can do that with either Ansible Automation Platform, which a lot of people want to create EEs for, or this tool called Ansible Runner. So Ansible Runner is a little odd. It needs to be inside the EE. We talked about that. But we can use it from outside the EE as well. We can use it to run a playbook inside of an execution environment, inside of a container, which is really cool. And I think that's the video that I'm going to release next, or, coming up very soon. Gang, I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, please hit like, hit subscribe. I want to see you on the next episode of Code with Feeser.